And we're going to prep some Pathfinder. We're going to prep some 7 Dooms for Sandpoint. I normally have a rule that you shouldn't run an adventure unless you've read the entire adventure from cover to cover. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't do that with 7 Dooms for Sandpoint. I heard it was a good adventure. I heard it was very dungeon crawl. And I just was like, hey, sounds good to me. In truth, it doesn't really make this happens a lot with Bizo Adventures. I think it doesn't really make any sense, like at all. It's pretty bad. It's pretty fucking bad. So I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. I was like, you know, any second now, it's gonna come together, and it's gonna make a lot of sense. And that never really happened. So we're gonna have to make it make sense. So that's what we're gonna do. All right. So let's see. I feel like this music is a bit too high energy for how I'm feeling this evening. All right. I think my world is not opening also, so that's going to be a problem. It's been stuck at 60% for a hot minute. We're gonna work on notes, but like, if it hasn't done anything by 6:10, I guess I'll nuke it and we'll try over again. Oh no, that's the wrong document. I'm so tired. Hopefully I didn't reveal too much, except, you know, our streaming schedule or whatever. Let's try again. Jesus Christ. All right. So we got this one. There we go. Nope, Foundry failed. So let's try again. All right, config. All right. I won't stop and start the server again. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt here in the background. All right. So having completed reading the adventure from cover to cover, which it was a pretty big adventure. It took a hot minute to get there. Please get past 60%. Please actually boot up tonight. It needs some work. It definitely needs some work. So we're going to do a new tab. And this tab is going to be 7. All right, it's going to be rewrites. Rewrites 7 Dooms for Sandpoint. All right. So we'll go here and then chop it up. Okay. So here's some of the issues I've run into with the adventure as written. The BBEG is the Red Bishop. And that sounds pretty cool, okay? Not gonna lie. The Red Bishop, it seems pretty fucking cool. However, it just doesn't... It, as usual, it's just like the Red Bishop's in the background. He's vibing. And allegedly, he's the mastermind behind everything that's going on. But then he's not. Like, he thinks he's playing like 5D chess. But then he like invites the party in. He's like, hey, come to my house. I sent this evil dragon to invite you. And then come to my house now that you've done all this heroic stuff. Oh, my island full of evil giants and demons and undead. But, you know, it's fine. It's fine. We're bros. And then I'm going to hopefully reveal myself by coming out of my hanging sleeping bag. And you're going to be like, wow, that guy's so cool. and then I'm going to ask you to do a ritual that's definitely not evil, in an evil place related to an evil demigod, and I expect you to do it. And if you don't, I'm gonna flip out and I'm gonna attack you. But if you've played Pathfinder properly, you've murder hoboed everything on my island, so I don't have any ads for this fight, and you kill me, and that's the end. And all of this was for nothing because I thought I was playing 5D chess and I wasn't. So overall, I'm not too pleased. I'm not too pleased with how it plays out. It might be one of the most disappointing endings I've ever seen, other than like Skull and Shackles. So yeah, I'm not 100% how I feel about it. All right. So the Red Bishop is a very creepy looking guy. There he is. Look at that thing. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then he's got his little diaper on. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. We talk about the island where he lives, his spells and such. He can turn into animals. Yeah. I don't know. So we got this BBEG, and there's a Red Bishop. Okay. Now, what we know about him is he is the cleric of Pazuzu. As opposed to like whatever it is in the Japanese comics where a big booby girl does stuff with her boobies. I get the two of them confused. So the Red Bishop is a cleric of Pazuzu. However, he is, let's be real, a Rune Lord enthusiast. Okay. What else is he? Thinks he plays 5D chess. Really doesn't. Okay. And then let's see. Thinks all right. Sets up the entire adventure. That part's true. All right. So there's 7 dooms, including himself! Exclamation mark. And then, hold on a second. Open recent files. Nope. Open. Nope. Man, I'm dying over here. Let's see. Open recent files. View all recent files. 7 dooms. Okay. Alright. Let's see. 7 dooms. Alright, the dooms. So I'm going to bring these over here. 7 dooms, including himself. So within those 7 dooms, he's got the Grave Knight, Goblin, Rip Nugget. That's fine. But there's also 7 Rune Lords and 7 Deadly Sins. So I feel like, why aren't we tying the 7 dooms strongly to the 7 Rune Lords? Because isn't that what this adventure is secretly trying to do, right? So we got Wrath, the first doom, the Grave Knight, Goblin, Rip Nugget seeks to burn Sandpoint to the ground. All right. Then we've got the Sandpoint Devil. It has awoken to spread terror and death through the town. I would argue that and this is Footprints on the Roof, Chapter 4. Let me go to that real quick. Looks like we have timed out again, trying to log in. Love that. Let's see. All right. We'll go and configure. I guess I'll stop it and start it and hope that that resolves any issues it's having. Let's see. We'll go to debug files. Got quite a few. Clear those out real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, then we'll go here. Start that server back up. Gonna make sure I'm not over my quota. Alright, and launch. Alright. So maybe it'll start up for real this time. Let's get back to this. Okay. So alright. That takes care of those guys. Footprints on the roof. Shrine of the Devil. I feel like Jordis Munt is like who were really this guy's really the doom. Because like the Sandpoint Devil has just been here. You know what I mean? Like living his fucking life. So I feel like Jordis Munt is really the second doom. The influence of Jordis Munt on the devil. So we're going to put Jordis Munt's influence on the Sandpoint Devil awakens it to spread terror and death throughout the time. Okay. So this is actually going to be greed because Jordis Munt wants to steal the powers of the Sandpoint Devil for himself, which is all of his motivations. So, let's see. Jordis Munt seeks to steal the power and glory of the Sandpoint Devil for himself. All right. So the third doom, the Poisoner Alavar Potiker. Okay. I'm not 100% down on all the 7 deadly sins. So that is possibly an issue as well. Let me see. 7 deadly sins. All right. The 7 deadly sins are pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, sloth. Okay, so envy is this one. Alright. So the Poisoner Alavar Potiker intends to poison the town's water supply with a dangerous supernatural drug known as Midnight's Milk. He is envious of the other townsfolk, their simple happiness and lives. Something he has never been able to convince himself is enough. Alright. So the fourth doom is an evil cult that worships the Sandpoint Devil and seeks to transform their leader after preying upon the town. Hold on a second. Let's see. They gotta fucking tell me at some point exactly what the 7 dooms are, because I'm living in constant ignorance here. The 7 dooms. Here we go. Goblin, Sandpoint Devil, Citizens of Sandpoint, blah blah blah. Humanoid shape transforms to the Sandpoint Devil and then rises from the pit. Oh, okay. So maybe that would be envy. That really doesn't work out as well as I'd like. All right, so we'll do Jordis Munt here. There we go. And that's greed for power. Okay. So then, 4th Doom. Okay, 5th Doom. Shadow figure stalks the streets of Sandpoint at night, chopping down citizens with an axe. Ghouls rise from the streets of Sandpoint to exhale a poison mist that slays everyone in town. An immense burning bird rains fire down upon Sandpoint, causing the ground to split open. Blah blah blah. Okay. I feel like why aren't the Dwegar in here? Are the Dwegar just like a joke to these people? Yeah, it's a little disappointing there. Also, like, why didn't the intellect devourer get to count as a doom? I feel like that's kind of bullshit. The ghost of murderer Jervis Stute possesses a new host. All right. Like, okay. So we're gonna do greed up here. There we go. And then envy. That's fine. The ghost of the murderer and the ghast priest Canker. And then 7th Doom. All right, so 7th Doom is pride. Because he thinks he can do this shit. 6th Doom, priest Canker has worked to transform the people of Sandpoint into undead pawns. So, like, the intellect devourers with, like, the midnight milk, like, that's just whatever. That's kind of weird. And then you've got the most problematic of the 7 sins, which is lust. Very, very hard to figure out what to do with lust without making it just very awkward for everybody. We could do the murderer and have it be bloodlust. But it feels like bloodlust would be wrath. You know what I'm saying? Would bloodlust be a form of lust according to the 7 deadly sins? Yes, bloodlust can be considered a form of lust according to certain interpretations of the 7 deadly sins. The concept of lust is not limited to sexual desire, but can encompass an uncontrolled or excessive desire for anything. Perfect. All right, so lust. There we go. Hunger would definitely be the ghast because he want to eat everybody. All right, so that just leaves us with sloth. All right. So sloth would really be the midnight milk plot line. You know what I'm saying? Like, because everybody falling asleep and they're trying to, like, take over. So we could do sloth up here. Boom. So the 3rd Doom is, what's the intellect devourer's name? It's like Killa Chukaluk or something like that. That's definitely not what it is. Let's see. Control F. Intellect Dev. Alright. Dream Lens. Midnight Milk. Alright. Let's get up here. Tiluachek. Alright. So do that. Alright, so Sloth is 3rd Doom. Tiluachek, the intellect devourer who leads the Midnight Dawn, who maintains several different identities in the region. Currently, he favors the identity of local aristocrat Keleb Valdemar. Okay, so it says that he leads the Midnight Dawn. But, like, what are the Dwegar the Midnight Dawn? Let's see. Midnight Dawn. Alright, he's the leader of the Midnight Dawn. The Midnight Dawn plot to transform the people. No. Midnight Dawn. So what are these poor Dwegar up to? Keepers of the Hollow Star. The Keepers of the Hollow Star are small conjuraderos who worship an entity known as Azathoth, since their ancestors discovered one of the outer spores lodged in a deep cavern, blah, blah, blah. When Tulachuk and the Midnight Dawn first came upon the Darklands below, he recognized the value of having the Keepers as allies, and so he brought their cooperation by supplying them with additional magical supplies and tomes taken from the libraries of Ilvarandin to aid him in their research, in return for allowing agents of Midnight Dawn to come and go through the Western Tunnels without interference. While the Keepers haven't been called upon to fulfill their end of the bargain yet, they do so eagerly should they discover the PCs have been trespassing anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we're going to go and do Sloth. No, we did Sloth. We're going to do Envy. And Envy is going to be for Keepers of the Hollow Star. All right. And the reason that Envy is Keepers of the Hollow Star, they are envious. Let's see. Actually, hold on. Yeah. All right. So we'll let the Dwegar just be a part of Midnight Dawn. And I like the idea that Alavar is so normal compared to all the other enemies that it really reminds you that yeah. There we go. So do Sloth. All right. And this will be, it reminds you that like evil can be anywhere. Evil could be like your next door neighbor, evil could be down the street, that kind of thing. So Midnight Dawn seeks to conquer through sleep. They always look for others to do the work and are parasites. Okay. They are aided by the Keepers of the Hollow Star, who, let's be real, are pretty lazy. They still haven't hatched their space egg. Okay. So now we kind of like, in my opinion, we better identify all of those individuals. So what I want to look for now is PF2E Rune Lord's symbols. All right. Accept all. Wow, this is an incredible visual timeline of what we are working with. Holy shit. Just a second. Okay. All right. Bring that in. That in. Wow. Okay. Envy, gluttony, greed, lust, pride, all the shit that they got up to. Oh. Damn. A lot of people apparently had these jobs at some point. That's pretty cool. All right. Except for like the hardcore OGs, I guess, that just stuck it out. Karzug, Rune Lord of Greed, Rune Lord of Sloth. We got all their little pictures. That's kind of cool. I don't see like their symbols though. I'm sure they're like in the adventures themselves, maybe. Let's see. Symbols, runes. Okay. Illustrated runes, old runes. Dang. Okay. What are these? Viking runes? I want the runes from the Rune Lords. I wonder if it's in like just the original adventure? Hmm. I guess we'll be okay without them, but it would have been really cool to have them. I could make them up, but I kind of want them to be official. Whatever. Okay. So we set up the entire adventure. We got the 7 dooms. Blah blah blah. All right. So we got envy. Here. So there we go. We got greed. I guess it's supposed to be gold. Is that what we're looking at? All right, wrath. Oh, there it is. All right. And then pride. Down here. And gluttony. That's right, not hunger. Hunger shouldn't be a sin. Gluttony is a sin. Gluttony. Alright, we got lust. Okay. And then sloth. And that should do. Right? Yeah. Okay. So we walk back in the core themes of the 7 Rune Lords. So that's cool, right? So he's a Rune Lord enthusiast. He's a Xander Ghoul fanboy. All right. And so he's got a lot. He's got a lot of, going on. He's got a lot of hobbies. That's cool. So that would explain why Pazuzu sends Vrox to spy on and stymie his efforts, jealous of Xander Ghoul. Alright. And then Rune Lord Enthusiast. Okay. Discovered the pit and the works of Lyra LaRue. Is that how you spell it? Let me check. Lyra LaRue. She's mentioned 151 times. Alright, there's an E at the end of her name. Alright, discover the pit. Okay. Inspired by her efforts to become the 8th Rune Lord through a brazen and reckless display of power, bringing, what's this dude's name? The guy that came out of the pit. God, it seems like Zubadub. No, that's not it. Let's see. The pit. Oh man. Uvaglor. Okay. All right. It's bringing Uvaglor back to his birthplace and binding him into service. That's what vainglory is all about. Reckless confidence. All right. So why do we care about Lyra LaRue? Because she's mentioned 151 fucking times in the adventure. Okay? So if she's mentioned, oh my god. If she's mentioned that many times, she must be somewhat important. All right, so let's see. Lyra LaRue, PF2E. And you even sort of fight her because there's like a Nalfeshni or whatever that takes her form. Let's see. Is this her? Female human mage? Is it just use a placeholder for her? That'd be some real shit. She deserves better than that. Okay, so she's not in that. Alright, and she's here. Alright. Lyra LaRue. Alright. Ghost boyfriend. It's towards the end where... Yikes. That guy looks fucking rough. Alright, pattern of killings. Nope. Deeper down. Deeper down. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Might have found it. Oh no, that's the evil nymph. Okay. And then we got Snake Dude. Come on, where's this Nalfeshni that's dressed up as her? Oh my god, she's mentioned so many times. Whoa. Oh. What? She just never... Alright, hold on. Alright, let's see. Head over here. Lyra LaRue. Yep, they just used basic, like, female wizard. Okay, so we got to get art for her. That's fine. Alright. So Lyra LaRue mentioned 151 times in the adventure. Self-proclaimed 8th Rune Lord of Vainglory. Built the entire dungeon. Went missing. Before she could prove herself to the other Rune Lords. Well, I guess the other / real Rune Lords. Alright. So, what I'm thinking here, and I'm definitely gonna take this whole Rune Lords timeline thing, put it in here. Is that there was an 8th Rune Lord in the making, and she was gonna pull off this. This is outside of the script of the book, but she was going to do this reckless display of power, bring Uva Glor back, blah 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 blah. So, in order to do that, she had this proof of vainglory ritual. So, in order to do this, you needed to create a champion of each of the 8 sins. And then to create such a champion, they must be consumed by their ambitions, driven by those sins. When a champion reaches the apex of its epitomization killed him. Okay. When the 8th champion when the 7 established sins have each been fulfilled and sacrificed, only then does vainglory remain. In its brilliance, does vainglory shine bright, calling home and into service the gruesome son of God and demon, Uvaglor. Nice. Okay. So what's happening? So, Red Bishop found Bishop. There we go. Discovered this ritual. Never realized. And has decided to finish or to perform the ritual himself. To do this, he has orchestrated 7 champions of sin. See the adventure. The 8th champion is the Fellowship of the PCs. That's the most important thing. They will become his champion of vainglory and complete the ritual. All right, so the Red Bishop entices, manipulates, aids, advises, bamboozles, and really does whatever it takes to get the other 6 dooms up and running and as successful as possible. However, if the PCs would ever fail to stop one of the 6 dooms, the Red Bishop would step in behind the scenes and prevent the death of the PCs / destruction, or should put early destruction of Sandpoint. In fact, the more he is able to aid them from the shadows, the better when he reveals their role in all of this. All right. So, okay. How do we marry it all together? Maybe sew it all together. No, sew it all together. Sew it all together. We've got Rise of the Rune Lords off camera. And we've got Burnt Offerings. And then we've got, let's see, Burnt Offerings and Rise of the Rune Lords off camera into Seven Dooms, into Revenge of the Rune Lords, starring Xanderpool. Okay. So yeah. Red Bishop discovered this ritual, never realized, and has decided to perform the ritual himself. To do this, he has orchestrated 7 champions of sin. See the adventure. Okay. Alright, so let's do Burnt Offerings first. So, Burnt Offerings. Alright, so in Burnt Offerings, Red Bishop was the one who saved Nualia from the burning church, and brought her to the ruins at Thistletop, there to recover and grow strong. Period. Let's see. So that's pretty good. Ever obsessed with good and evil and the endless contest for mortal souls, comma, he was fascinated by this strange girl who bore heaven's blood, corrupted and foul, her heart still longing for the light, comma, but broken by those she trusted most. She was his greatest fascination until her death. Alright, so then Rise of the Rune Lords happens off camera. Alright, so during that time, the Red Bishop closely followed the events of this campaign and became fascinated by the Rune Lords, ancient Thassalon, and the power that was wielded then, and perhaps again someday. Let's see. When the Rune Lords failed to rise again, let's see. The Red Bishop returned home to the Lost Coast, and discovered secrets hidden within the pit. Secrets that would change everything for him and become his latest and greatest fascination. Alright, so then we get to Seven Dooms. Alright. So that sort of gives us a bit more about the Red Bishop, why he's involved in this shit, what he's all about, what he's thinking about, where he's going. all that kind of stuff. There are some good ties here to Nualia, Lamashtu, and Pazuzu, because James Jacobs, when asked what kind of demon was Nualia going to turn into if she was able to complete her transformation, he said she was going to turn into a Vrak. So a Vrak is the chosen demon of Pazuzu, but also Pazuzu and Lamashtu made a baby, and the baby came out of the pit, Uvaglor. But also they hate each other now. They had a really bad breakup. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that if Nualia was chosen of Lamashtu, which, I mean, let's be generous and say she was, but she probably wasn't. Why would she turn into a Vrak, which is like the least favored of all demons by Lamashtu, because, you know, they're the favored of her ex, baby daddy. So that makes me think that there was some sort of tutelage, maybe some intervention, some corruption from the Red Bishop and Pazuzu. So there was a little bit more going on. That would also explain why Nualia was able to be defeated by a bunch of third-level characters, because she really wasn't like the chosen of Lamashtu maybe anymore because of her involvement with Pazuzu and his cleric. So that kind of explains that a little bit better. So then that brings us into Rise of the Runelords off camera, which we're going to say that the saga did happen, and one of the choices that people can make for their character during the time skip is that they were either a part of that adventure and they died, which is kind of cool, or they were a part of that adventure and then they retired. But they won't be able to... I guess they could have been a part of the adventure and then, like, they went into retirement, their skills got rusty, and now they're coming out of retirement, but that one makes, like, the least amount of sense to me. But it could still work. Obviously, they don't have to do anything with the Runelords in the time skip. They could just be like, I opened a store, or I ran for office, or, you know, whatever they want to do. But I'm going to make those, like, available options during the time skip. And then I'll give them, like, the cliff notes of, like, what happened in Rise of the Runelords. So now we get here, and we have a better explanation for why this is happening. So all of these guys are being, like, I don't want to say pitted against each other, but the Runelords had sort of a reputation for that, of pitting, always being pitted against each other, always fighting each other. So, like, I think that would work really good in this instance. Is like, they've been promised something. They've been promised power. Not 100% sure. I like the idea of them having, like, rune stones of these particular sins on them, you know, and then their particular organization is, like, benefiting from them or whatever. But overall, I think that this works out, like, really, really good for, like, why is this happening? What is the point of all this? Like, where are we going? So jumping back down to this, in Seven Dooms, Red Bishop, blah, blah, so confrontation. All right, so in order for the ritual to succeed, the 6 dooms must ideally die by the PC's hands before they confront Red Bishop. All right. Red Bishop will then invite them over for endgame chat. His goal is to make them angry and overconfident enough that they try to kill him. After making life miserable in town and then on his island, he will teleport to the bottom of the pit. Okay. Obviously, the PCs will be baited into following. There at the bottom of the pit, as they fight and slay the Red Bishop, who has become Pride. He points out to them that they are not truly the great heroes they think they are. The love of the people, the accolades, the parades, etc., are not earned true. Long has the Red Bishop watched them, aided them, and saved them. Their heroics are his heroics. Their deeds, his deeds. To think otherwise, to act otherwise, is false. I guess he would say vainglory because he's so prideful, but that would definitely give away what he's up to. So vainglory. All right. So, if the PCs, let's see, with his defeat, the PCs must decide: do they keep his machinations a secret from the people of Galarian / Sandpoint? Question mark. He played no small part in their rise to fame, fortune, and power. If they tell the truth, all the Red Bishop's efforts were in vain. But if they keep it a secret, they fulfill vainglory, and Uvaglor is released and returns to the place of his birth to deliver destruction upon the world, starting with Sandpoint. Aha. So I think that sets it up pretty well that, like, Lyra LaRue wasn't just a fucking loser. I feel kind of bad for her. I know that's sort of the implication, is that she was sort of a fucking loser. But, like, bitch was working hard. You know what I'm saying? She was working hard. So, like, I like this idea that, first of all, I don't know why they needed to fight all these other Dooms for, like, the Red Bishop to get them to cast the ritual to unlock his Uvaglor's prison. Like, it couldn't, especially since at the end of the book, if they're like, no, fuck you, bro, which I'm assuming everyone would say, he's like, you hurt my feelings, and then he beats the shit out of them, and then the adventurer's like, yeah, if they didn't murder hobo everything on the island, eventually they are going to get beat up, and then he's going to take them prisoner, and he's going to go down in the pit, he's going to make them read it, and it's like, wow, that's fucking dumb. If he was going to make some good guys read the scroll, why didn't he just go get some good guys in the first place and make them read the scroll? It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's almost like they just had, ideas for dungeons. They just threw them all together. I'm not 100% on this, but I wasn't. Yeah. So now it does make a little bit more sense of what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it. So I do like the idea that motivation or motivating the 6 dooms. Alright, so they have been promised great power if they can fulfill, or what is it? If they can, what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh, epitomize. There we go. If they can best epitomize the ancient rune magic gifted to them by their patron, the Red Bishop. Okay, so rune stones on the various factions / monsters, collect sin and transfer it back to Red Bishop Isle. Red Bishop has a leaderboard and hands out weekly prizes. Sounds like something he would do, honestly. Okay. So much as we will track the factions of Sandpoint, so too should we track the Doom's leaderboard. Consider gifting the leading faction each week some sort of boon or demonic ally. Nice. Okay. All right. I'm very happy with this now. I think that this really creates sort of an ecosystem, like a believable ecosystem of like why is this happening? Why the fuck is this happening? And with this in place, that it kind of does more with what we're trying to do. Things that I'd like to add to each one is for Sloth. I don't want to move the mayor thing to the end. I kind of want that to be sooner. So like for Sloth, oh, jeez. All right. So expanded dooms. Okay. Things that I'd like to see for Sloth. Mention the exodus of the mind flayers at the end of the first age. Okay. And then run for mayor. Be hilarious. Okay. I mean those are the main two that I wanted for these guys. With the ghouls, I want to tie them to the ghouls from chapter 1. Alright, so we'll do... Alright. So we'll do this. Canker is a legend. Known, whispered about, and even worshipped by the ghouls under Sandpoint. Alright. We don't really need much more than that, but that can be pretty good for if conversation comes up. We kind of seed that dude in. Since he's at the very back of the book, he kind of comes forward towards the end of the book. All that's pretty good. Let's see. Envy. Poisoner, Alavar Potiker intends to poison the town's water supply. I've already seeded him as a child, so that's cool. So for that, we'll just put. Oh, I think I'm at time, and I can smell the delicious dinner. Let's see. Seated in burnt offerings as a child. Resents the PCs for not letting him join their party. Okay. Rises to financial power and industrial fame during time skip. Okay. Reclusive outside of business. Okay. Nice. Let's see. Ghost. He's just doing his shit. That's fine. Goblin. Stay. That's the same. It's fine. Greed. I feel like we don't really need to change much because the dude's already fucking greedy. So, like, what I'd like to see is making some of these stones as items. I think I would just have them be talisman. That would be the easiest way to do it. So each of them would do like a thing, and then that thing, would be used up. The stone would shatter or whatever. But having the talisman and not shattering it, that would be pretty good. So, all right. Anyways, I'm done for now. I am going to be back. When am I going to be back? Thursday to prep some Skyhaven. And then I'm running this game at 8:30 tonight, but we do not stream it. We do record it locally. And then those recordings are put up on Google Drive for Patreon patrons. Maybe someday, when the entire campaign is over, we'll put the entire thing up on YouTube or something. But that's a long way away, especially if they decide to do Revenge of the Rune Lords or whatever. All right. Hope everybody has. Oh, an Extra Life's coming up November 8th, 25-hour marathon raising money for Extra Life Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So, see you then.